Who are you? So we're walking around San Francisco with, who are you anyways?
I'm Tom Conrad.
And what do you do?
I'm the CTO and head of product at Pandora.
And Pandora, what is Pandora?
Pandora is a personalized internet radio service. Come to our site, tell us the name of a favorite artist, favorite song, and we'll build a radio station for you that plays music from that artist and other songs that are like it, that we think you'll like.
And what are we doing today?
We are walking around talking about music.
Well, we're going to the K-Fog Kaboom.
Oh, we're going to the K-Fog Kaboom as well.
I figured it'd be fun to go to a concert with the CTO of a music service.
Who's playing? Like Guster's playing, right?
Yeah, a whole bunch of people.
Exactly.
Tell me, because I keep hearing rumors about Pandora and what's going on in the music space with charging. Bring me up to date on that.
Okay, so this gets complicated, but probably worth talking about all of the details. So Pandora is licensed to play the music we play under the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, which has a whole bunch of stuff that's controversial, but one of the things that's pretty good is it sets out a set of rules that describes what a internet radio station has to pay, who they have to pay to play the music that they put on the air. And so we pay ASCAP, we pay BMI.
Are you have to pay some musician for that?
Maybe, yeah. We have to pay Sound Exchange, and the Sound Exchange part is the money that goes to the record labels for the mechanical copies that we play. So the particulars of how much we have to pay, though, aren't set in the law, but there's a set of... Sure, right on. The actual rates, though, aren't set in the law. There's a process described in the law that explains how every 5 years an arbitration panel will come to a decision about how much the webcasters actually have to pay for the content. And so we just went through a process starting in early 2006 where this arbitration board met, this thing called the Copyright Royalty Board, to make a determination about what the rates would be from 2006 through 2010.
Yep.
And they came back with their decision about 6 or 8 weeks ago, and pretty much just completely gave in to all of the demands of the RIAA.
Which is the recording industry of America.
Exactly.
They're the music industry, right?
They're the music industry. So, and what those rates are is they basically, between now and 2010, the rates triple. So the costs for us associated with playing music go up 3x, which by 2010 just makes it impossible to be an internet radio company, period. For Pandora, for Yahoo.
This isn't a good place to say, is it?
For Clear Channel, for NPR, for every little internet radio station that you might have fallen in love with over the years, from Waxy to Soma FM. I mean, all of these great services are going to have a really hard time paying their bills. It's particularly terrible for the small webcasters.
Yeah.
Because they used to be subject to a special set of rules where they would pay a percentage of their revenue.
Yeah. So like some of the small ones you're talking about, they might make $40,000 a year, right?
Exactly.
And mostly off of donations, not even off ads.
So they're really, a lot of these companies, they do it just out of the the goodness of their hearts, and they don't broadcast to millions of people. If they broadcast to millions of people, they wouldn't be considered a small webcaster. They'd have to pay the full rates. I think Pandora went from being small webcaster to big webcaster in about a week and a half after we launched. So you can't get very big before you have to start paying the full rates. But so you take someone like Soma FM, who maybe they made $40,000, $60,000, $100,000, something like that last year. The royalty, the back royalty they owe under the new rules is on the order of $600,000.
Right.
And
so clearly they're not going to be able to pay that.
Yeah. So come July 15th, they're bankrupt.
Yeah.
And it's really just two wonderful people in their basement south of Market, putting this music out there, and they're playing all kinds of music that doesn't get played anywhere else. And so it'll be a real loss when services like that go away. Same is true of a lot of college radio stations that broadcast on the internet. NPR is really, really up in arms about this. And so this coalition has come together with the aim of trying to correct this.
Yep.
And the particularly crazy thing about the whole story is that the terrestrial guys, so Clear Channel and CBS Radio, they don't pay anything in this particular part of the music universe for playing their music. The equivalent royalty in terrestrial radio is $0. The one that's going to put internet radio out of business is $0 for terrestrial radio.
Why?
That's a really good question. I think it probably comes down to in the political landscape, the National Association of Broadcasters is more powerful than the RIAA, and the RIAA is more powerful than webcasters. And so, when the laws were being put together, the terrestrial guys got a pass.
Now, what happens if Clear Channel broadcasts their channels on the internet?
On the internet, they have to pay. And so they're up in arms about this as well. I mean, this is not good news for them.
So that's going to remove a lot of radio stations. If they have to pay, that's going to remove a lot of radio stations from the internet. Right?
Absolutely.
Because like KFOG, we're going to KFOG's concert.
Yep.
They can broadcast music on their radio station for free.
Yep.
They pay
ASCAP and BMI, but that money goes to the songwriters. None of it goes to the labels.
Really?
They don't pay anything to the labels. In fact, there's a thing called payola in radio, right?
Yep.
The labels actually pay, I mean, it's not illegal anymore, but they used to actually pay Clear Channel and KFOG and so on to play their music, right? So that's strange.
To get
things heard, right? So that's strange, right? So this very thing that's going to put us out of business, the equivalent thing in terrestrial radio is free, but actually it's not even free. The record labels are paying them to play it. So that's the whole argument for radio licensing in general, is that these are promotional services. They're the way that new artists find an audience.
Yep.
Certainly that's our mission at Pandora, and so
let's go. This is going to be really hard to hear, I bet. So let's go over to the Palace Hotel and continue this conversation.
Great.
So we were talking about the laws that are going to hit Pandora and the fee. So tell me what that means for Pandora's business. How much are you paying right now, and how much are you going to pay under the new plan, and are you going to be able to stay in business?
I think the right way to think about it, probably just make it simple. We pay about a cent per hour right now for each stream that we play. So if you come and listen to Pandora for 10 hours, we pay a dime for your listening. That's not bandwidth or anything. There's other costs associated with actual delivery, but the licensing fees are about a cent an hour. And in 2010, that fee will almost triple. It'll be about 2.7 cents an hour by 2010. And at that level, it's just, if you start doing the back of the envelope math about how much advertising you'd have to sell to cover those costs, it becomes impossible. Impossible for us, impossible for Clear Channel, impossible for Yahoo, impossible for, God knows, for the Soma FM guys.
Basically, if this gets upheld, most internet radio is of popular music, that comes from
I think
RIAA.
any music will go away. No, actually, so that's the interesting thing. This is not RIAA music only. This is the law of the land. This is for every piece of music played on the internet.
Wait a second. Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So this is a statutory license that applies to all music. It's a great license because it means I can play the Beatles, even though there are no digital rights for the Beatles. I can play the Beatles, but the downside to it is that there's no get out of jail free card.
So if I play you playing, what did you play in high school?
Boy,
I played saxophone in high school.
I played a little bit.
So
of
if I play really crappy saxophone by Robert Scoble, you're going to have to pay 2.3 cents an hour?
Yeah.
Crazy. Even though I'm not part of
I could go to you and directly negotiate a license for it. And you could say, I waive my rights to sound exchange fees because, I want the sound of Robert Scoble to get out there. But that's the only option. And we played the music of 30,000 artists from thousands of labels. I mean, unfortunately, it's not practical for us to go and do direct deals with each and every artist who might want to be heard on.
No way. You'd be stuck doing paperwork for decades.
Exactly.
With 30,000 people to deal with. Whoa, so that's why people have been saying you and other businesses who are trying to make a business of music on the internet is really in trouble.
I mean, the thing that's frustrating for us is that, from the very beginning, we've tried to be, the good guys in the digital music space, right? We paid millions of dollars in licensing last year for the music that we played. We're happy to do it. I mean, we want, if anything, we want to make it possible for artists to have a sustainable income associated with their art. It's part of our mission.
Let's talk a little bit more about the realities of trying to build a music website, a website or a business. Let's just call it a business, not even a website.
Yep.
Can you sell stuff on iTunes? Can you refer customers to iTunes based on the music? Because if I listen to a cool song on Pandora and I want to buy it, can I go from your service and onto iTunes and buy it?
So every track that plays on Pandora, you're a click away from buying that track on iTunes. Unfortunately, we have to send you there one track at a time. So, if you come and you listen, you bookmark on our service 100 songs that you like, you want to buy them all, there's no mechanism that lets us send 100 tracks to iTunes in one gulp for you to buy. So you have to click, wait for iTunes to launch, buy, click, buy. And so there's sort of this sort of tedious sort of aspect to it. But you can buy tracks, and people do, and we get we get letters from people all day, every day, saying they're buying more music than ever because they're listening to Pandora.
Yeah, I certainly do. And what kind of advertising do you get with it? Because with music, I don't think of advertising, right?
Yeah.
So it's really hard to make money from advertising in a radio station kind of format, right?
So what we've done is, when we first launched, we started off as a subscription-only service. And we had some success with that. I would say, it was a sort of single-digit percentage of listeners converted to paid subscribers. And as we grew and took in some more investment, we were able to make a completely advertising-supported free service available, and have built out a team of 15 people who do nothing all day, every day, all across the country, looking for advertisers for Pandora. And the way that we've integrated advertising into the product is through just display advertising. So there's no audio advertising on Pandora, but because Pandora has a kind of lean-in component where not only are you listening to music, but you're rating songs and you're making new stations and you're adding new music into the mix, you're learning more about the artists that you're hearing for the first time. All of those interactions generate ad refreshes.
Right.
And so we're able to, like the New York Times or any kind of content-oriented website, have a display ad-based advertising strategy, and that's working really well for us so far. Certainly still early days, but I think if you were to take this royalty issue we've been talking about out of the picture, there's a winner there.
Yeah, it's just it is pretty tough though. I know I'm in a content business and trying to pay bandwidth fees, pay content producers, and then pay.
And we have licensing
and dealing with this licensing issue. It's a tough business to make any money at.
It is.
And you can't sell tickets to concerts or T-shirts or
right.
You're people subscribe to Pandora and plug in a few tunes that they like and they start listening to a channel that you guys built.
Yep.
Which, by the way, the technology is really awesome.
Yeah,
I think
thanks.
we covered that in a previous interview we did before.
Yep.
But so where goes what's going to happen? What do you think?
So to finish off, what's going to happen with the
licensing?
The licensing. So there's actually a bill has been introduced in the House and in the Senate that seeks to just do one thing, which is to put internet radio at parity with the satellite radio guys.
Yeah.
So we're basically saying we're happy to pay, we want to pay. Like, we think it's kind of shocking that the labels aren't paid for terrestrial radio. So this isn't about us wanting that model, so what these bills seek to do is to establish an equitable relationship between internet radio and satellite radio, so we'll pay the same rates that they pay.
Wow.
And we just think that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's really bizarre. I think Sirius makes a handheld device. It has 3 radio antennas in it. It has a Wi-Fi antenna, it has a satellite antenna, and has an FM antenna.
Yeah.
Same song gets played to the Wi-Fi antenna via internet radio, 1 fee gets paid. Same song gets played to the FM antenna, no fees are paid. And same song on the satellite, yet another rate. So that's just kind of ludicrous. And so what we see cleaning this whole mess up is just making all of that equitable, and that's what these bills seek to do. And the way these bills came into being is there are 50 million people who listen to internet radio every week. They started calling their congressperson.
Yeah.
They started calling their senators and saying, you got to do something about this. We don't want Pandora to go away. We don't want Soma to go away. We don't want Yahoo Launchcast to go away. And they just jammed up the fax lines. And now we've got 100 people in the Congress who are supporting are co-sponsors of the bill there. Great.
So will the bill that as it is proposed That'll hit Congress this summer or?
We hope that it'll go into committee in the coming months, and then really there's this deadline looming. There's this July 15th deadline coming that's going to put the Soma FMs out of business overnight, put them in bankruptcy, and so I think there's hope that Congress will act, incredibly swiftly to do something to make sure that doesn't happen, because that would just be a huge loss.
But have you seen the bills as they're proposed?
Yeah.
And Pandora likes these bills. They're good.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I think they're good for the webcasters. They're good for artists. They put everybody on an equitable footing with respect to these rates. So I think they make a lot of sense. They have great bipartisan support. So we'll see.
So,
what's really next?
What's really next for Pandora?
Yeah.
We'll switch the interview. Maybe we'll cut that out and do a separate segment. So we were in San Francisco's Palace Hotel. Beautiful hotel. Wherever here in San Francisco, you got to come and check it out. Especially the bar has a Maxfield's has a beautiful painting in it, and the main dining room here.
We absolutely have permission to film here.
Oh no! hopefully the PR team from the Palace Hotel won't come after me. But we've done filming here before, and I try to plug the people who let me film.
That's right.
Various places, but it's a beautiful hotel. You got to come and visit it. So what's next for Pandora? And I have a feeling it's mobile because I don't see a computer right here.
Yeah. Well, so when we set out to build Pandora 3 years ago, we had kind of a 4-point plan. We wanted to build a service that it was really easy to use. That you came to, just really with one click you could get into music that you'd love. We wanted to have the best music discovery anywhere. So always introducing people to artists that they hadn't heard before. Want to have great options when you heard something you love to learn more about it, buy it, and so on. And then there was this fourth thing. We've done okay on those first three over the first 3 years here, but we really haven't done much of anything on the fourth one. And the fourth one is it's got to be available anytime, anywhere. Yeah. And so what we've been doing really over the course of the last almost 9 months is getting ready to be able to launch a platform that we call Pandora Everywhere that enables consumer electronics vendors and mobile device partners to deliver Pandora in your pocket. So I've just entered into a partnership with Sprint, who's going to be releasing Pandora across a wide range of handsets. Let me get this thing kind of going here. I think we're going to launch on 10 different consumer class phones, and you get the whole Pandora experience in your pocket to a phone. So you plug your regular stereo headphones in. I've got a pair that came with some other, what's that MP3 player called? Oh, the iPod. Yeah. But instead of having to have a hard drive full of music, I've got all the music from Pandora. I've got all 100 stations that I've created on the website are available here. I've got all of the capabilities of the system, so I can rate songs. I can get more information about the music that's playing. I can see all of my 100 stations. I can make new ones. I can learn about the artists. I can completely interact with this, and I can close it, walk down the street, anywhere I want to go, listen to Pandora. I can plug it into my, the stereo in the car, so I can drive around town. And I'll tell you, when we started this project, I was pretty skeptical about just what the experience would be like on a phone. We all have the experience of your cell phone sort of coming and going, but we worked really hard on the technology behind this, and you can get hours of uninterrupted streams anywhere you go. Maybe you drive into a tunnel and you lose this stream for a few minutes when you come out the other side. But we have people who have prototypes of this who listen to it on BART every day as they come to the office. Who drive. We have one of our engineers drove all the way out to Sebastopol the other day and it never skipped a beat.
Do I have to pay for this service?
Service is going to be $3 a month.
Okay.
Billed to your cell phone bill.
And is there any advertising that gets
There's no advertising in this, so for your $3, you banish advertising as well.
You won't tell me where the closest Starbucks is?
What's the other thing that's cool about this is that it's available as a
Is
universe.
that $3 in addition to anything I'm paying Pandora? Or?
Yeah, no. So it's one fee actually. So it's the whole sort of Pandora Everywhere suite, whatever devices you have. Maybe you have a Slim Devices squeeze box in your house. You've got a Sprint mobile phone that you carry with you. You don't want ads on Pandora. That $3 billed to your cell phone covers all of those devices. So you don't have to. It's not this sort of piecemeal thing where you put one in.
He's not happy, man.
I know. He wants it to be $250. Yeah.
Just to prove this is real.
That's right. That's real, right. Unscripted, live,
unprofessional TV.
Exactly. Pontificating tech execs, is that the main theme for the show?
Absolutely.
We're also going to be rolling out some new consumer electronics partnerships and new devices for the living room as well. We're also completely relaunching Pandora.com. So if you've been to our website, you know that we have the most creative use of khaki on the web today. Under a project that we've called No More Khaki, we're completely revamping the look and feel of the site. So a bunch of exciting things happening all at once. Pandora to go, new Pandora devices in the home, entirely new website. We've been fighting all of this the licensing stuff for the last several months, but over in product development, we've been really focused on trying to keep momentum going and deliver great new stuff. And I feel better about the Pandora products today than I have in a really long time, and we're really ready to kind of take it to the next level.
What trend, since you're studying, how many people are on Pandora? Are you allowed to tell me?
Yeah, we've got about 6.5 million people listening right now. So we've had a great run of it so far, and the biggest, we look at when people listen, they listen at work. And they listen at work because that's where their computer is. Yeah. That's the way they spend time sitting at the computer. So we're really excited about, getting Pandora into places where you wouldn't normally have a computer in front of you. So whether it's in your car on your cell phone, or if it's in your home on something like the great devices that are out there for listening to digital music in the home.
Right.
We want to be there, and that's what Pandora Everywhere is about.
How many songs can I listen to on Pandora?
So there are about 500,000 songs that we play from 30,000 artists. You can listen for as many hours as you want, even 100 different stations. Each plays, That's actually what's really exciting about this for me, is that as we've sort of shared this with our beta testers, there's been a lot of enthusiasm for it, but when you talk to people about what it is they love about it, they say, well, it's my music, right? You talk to somebody who has, loves gospel music, or loves country music, or it's not all kind of, indie, hipster, Radiohead listening. We've got plenty of that. But there's something for everybody in Pandora. Jazz, like all kinds of things that just don't get played on traditional radio. And now you can have it with you everywhere.
And tell me a little bit about the technology behind Pandora, because that's pretty interesting. Because if I go in there and put in Hell's Bells from AC/DC,
yep.
And that's my first song I pick in Pandora. What does it do with that information? How does it find other music?
So underlying all of this is this thing that we've been working on for 7 years called the Music Genome Project. We have a team of about 50 professional musicians who come to the office every day. They put headphones on, listen to music one song at a time, and they actually analyze each piece of music across 400 different musicological dimensions. So not just are there guitars, but what kind of guitars, how are the guitars played, what role does the guitar play in the overall composition. For the vocal performance, there are approximately 30 different attributes that we capture. So how breathy is it, how much falsetto is used, how gravelly is the voice, and on like this for 400 different attributes. And then we use that, when you say Hell's Bells by AC/DC, we use that to go off across this landscape of 500,000 songs and find other songs that have the same genetic makeup, if you like. So that's step one. And then step two, which is no secret, but people don't talk about very much, is that we also look at all of the feedback that we've collected from our listeners over the course of the last 2 years. So whenever somebody else came to the site and listened to that Hell's Bells station, they gave their thumbs up and thumbs down on things. When you start to aggregate that together in that one context, just in Hell's Bells, you get an even richer picture of what works and what doesn't. And so maybe the genome makes some suggestions about what are musically close. But maybe the audience says, hey, these aren't so good. For whatever reason, maybe there's like socially incompatible. We take that information sort of in aggregate. I mean, my favorite example there is there's a band called Massive Attack. It's like a trip hop kind of electronica hipster thing. And our Massive Attack station, when we first launched, played J-Lo. Now, we'll get into whether or not it's a good musical match or not. I think the musicology actually says it is a pretty good match, but like socially, a really bad match. Yep. The sort of the audience that listens to Massive Attack is like, whoa, wait a minute, we don't want J-Lo on our station. And so by using their feedback in aggregate, we're able to sort of dial back the amount of J-Lo that plays and dial up the amount of music from artists that are loved in that context get played. But what's important is that just happens on that station. It doesn't affect J-Lo's popularity anywhere else. And so it's not a popularity contest, it's just like a tuning almost. And so we do those two things. We start with the music genome, and then we enhance it through the power of the thumbs data that we've collected.
Great. Is there any... Pandora today is a web browser thing, right? You have to keep the web browser open to keep listening. Is there going to be someday a way to dock it in the toolbar or have an offline version of it or something like that? Can I take some on the plane? Because if I'm not connected to the internet, I can't take it, right?
Right.
Or if I'm not in cell phone tower range, I can't take Pandora.
Well, there's two things. There's this question of a desktop app, so that's just a sort of ubiquitous, always there, easy access. And we've tried on the website to make it really easy so that, man, it's one click on a bookmark and the music starts again. But you can make it even easier than that, right? If it's an icon on the desktop. And so we're certainly interested in doing that kind of desktop application. It gets tricky, again, getting back to the licensing, it gets tricky to offer offline access because the licensing rules for internet radio are really set up around a unicast kind of model where you have to be streaming. As soon as you start actually making copies of songs and putting them on hard drives to play back later, all of the rules associated with the licensing we use are kind of out the window, and you have to go label by label and make those deals that we talked about. So as much as I'd love to say there'll be a sort of solution for the person who's intermittently connected when you're on a plane or whatnot, I think that's off a little bit farther in the future.
But how about a desktop app that can stream through the desktop?
But a desktop app. I mean, there's a lot of interesting technologies that are coming along there, right? So there's Apollo, for example, where a Flash-based application. So Apollo is really appealing, and so we're thinking about all of those things and trying to figure out. We're just, we have 6.5 million listeners, but we're still just a little startup in Oakland, trying to make good. So we're always making hard decisions about what to do next. But certainly a desktop app is on the list.
All right. Well, we're going to the K-Fog Kaboom concert, so let's go listen to some music.
All right, thanks, Robert.